confidence did that hurt you last year that, maybe you got to try to find more swing and miss rather than ground balls?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I had really high ground ball rate and a good amount of those were hits, and I don't know how much that's the shift or just bad luck or anything that goes into it, but there's one way to avoid any side like that: just strike the batter out and kick out base and strike out. So with Wilson back there, and then drop their strikes being allowed. But yeah, so that's the plan: is just see if I can clean up that part of my game.
Andre, did you come to that realization by yourself after just seeing how your second season went? Was it a combination of conversations with Ollie and Dusty? What really made you want to incorporate that swing and miss a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it was a conversation we had right around the All-Star break. My season was kind of turned back to good right before the All-Star break, and then like that last week or two before things started to go a little sour for me. That was one of the conversations we had, was figuring out a way to try and figure something out to kind of eliminate that ground ball risk. But I still think that's going to be who I am. I'm never going to not be a ground ball guy. That's never going to be how I'm going to get 90% of my outs. But if there's a way I can get a little bit better on the other side of the game, I mean, that's something we talked about. We talked about a little variations of how I can go about that. So I'm just really excited to go out in spring training and see how that plays.
Andre, what's the challenge of dealing with the frustration of knowing that that's the type of big pitcher that you are going to be successful doing, but that you are kind of susceptible to bad breaks that pile up on you? Like, you maybe execute the pitch that you meant to, but the results still may not come through. How do you kind of balance that?
I mean, it's really just having confidence in who you are and knowing that what you're doing is the right thing for you. I was talking with Benji about that on the Caravan. He's a great guy to be able to talk to. So I have that time with him on the way back was really nice. And it's just having the confidence of what's your best thing. Sometimes that's going to happen. It's going to happen to everyone. Sometimes you're going to get, if you're a fly ball pitcher, you're going to pop out. And if you're playing at, the Red Stadium and the ball just barely goes over, you're not going to change who you are because of that. But just be confident who you are and what you need to do. Be focused on yourself and be the best you can be.
How do you go from slider to curve? What curve kind of head that's going?
Well, I mean, just the variations of them, right? I think it's just the ease of how I was able to do it. With the slider variation, I'm trying to throw a more horizontal slider as opposed to the kind of gyro slider I have been throwing. And that required a lot of wrist manipulation, a little bit of movement, kind of with how I was moving my body. And I noticed that my arm style was changing a little bit with it, and that's not the direction I want to go. I'm trying to make this pitch look like my fastball. I'm not trying to throw a metric pitch that looks good on TrackMan. So I think that was one of the things that I was really kind of, when I saw that, kind of made me step away. I'm like, I think my other slider played really well first year I was in the big leagues, and the big thing was that was just I located a lot better. That was a huge step back that I noticed from 2022 to 23 was how well I located my slider, or how poorly I located my slider the following year. So that was kind of something I haven't been working on as much now, but the curveball is something that I've been able to do, and it's been easy for me. It's consistent. I'm going it harder. I've been going it about 3-4 miles harder in my bullpens, and been getting a good break on it. So that's something I think is really going to take me a good long.
Andre, when you talked to Sonny yesterday, you mentioned in his first conversation with Bo, they discussed some of the infrastructure on the pitching side, some of the coaching stuff that you all maybe falling back is too strong, but maybe you all have been maybe like a body down last year. Dusty goes up, no one takes Dusty's shot. With some distance from it, do you see a difference between your first year and the second year? And do you think that maybe adding those guys back to the staff now will help you all in that way?
100%. I think, the coaches work so hard day and night. They work long, long hours, more than we don't even see a lot of times. They're there before we get there and they're after we leave. And having a third coach will definitely help kind of equip that work so they can be a little bit more attentive to what we're doing. And, they're not so spread thin. If you got 100 things on your plate, getting 50 things on your plate, you're able to put more effort into those things. So I think that's really going to help just having, more eyes on us and having more time. So I'm excited to see that. And then, I think just, I had, Dean had been with me in the fall league in 21, and I thought he was a great coach. I really enjoyed being around him, and so I'm hoping that he'll be able to help us out. And I'm really excited to have Sonny Graham on the team. I think that was, a great move. I really looked up to him a lot. Even in college, he was a guy. My sophomore year, I saw him throw, and I was like, this is who I kind of want to be. So when I get the opportunity to meet him, I'm really excited to talk to him and hopefully work with him.
What were the things about Dean that stood out to you? Why was he a really good coach for you?
I think because, you know, he had been more focused on, I say, like, what you're doing in the moment. He did a lot of stuff with his eyes, you know. A lot of the stuff that's the way baseball's going is, you know, let me look at the machine and let me look at this and kind of tell you through this if it's something good or not. Whereas, you know, I feel like certain coaches are just kind of watch and see it come in live and just in the moment be like, yeah, I like that, or maybe I don't. They don't need to look for something else to tell them if it's good. They can kind of tell with their eyes, and I thought he did a really good job with that. And he was my catch play partner out there. Hicks got when he left the fall league. That's where Steve stepped in, and so I got to throw with him a lot. And he would always be able to see me day to day. So he definitely gave me a little bit more attention than the other guys out there because he was my partner. But
When you talk about guys, we heard a little bit of this season about maybe there was some feeling that some of the clock had impacted tipping a little bit, and maybe some sort of the real-time noticing that. Is that the sort of thing that he would be able to identify for whether it's you or other guys, just sort of get, you know, real-time feedback in terms of like, this looks like this arm slot is here, that kind of stuff?
I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I think that's something they'll all be able to, you know, take on a little bit more of because they're not so stretched thin on trying to create a scan report or something like that. But yeah, I think that's definitely going to be. He was up with us a little bit at the end of the year last year, and I think that was something that he was definitely focused on, and he brought up with some guys. So having him around the whole year, I think, is going to really help.
Andre, you've always been a guy that's adaptable to a lot of different roles. Do you have an expectation from the team as to what they kind of see for you this year in terms of how you might be used?
I mean, I'll be ready for anything. I think the important thing about what we do is, you know, what makes us good is going to carry over wherever we're in. It's not like, you know, there's small things you can do to be a little bit better in each role, but the base thing that's going to get you the results at the big league level is going to be the same whether you're a starter, reliever, or anything like that. So I think, you know, just for me, focusing on what makes me good and doing that to the best of my ability is really the focus, and then I'll make the small applications when that happens.
You've dissected some of your slider, how you've adjusted and worked on that. I believe that there was a video of you working on the death ball, the high velocity curveball as well this offseason. How has it been developing that?
Yeah, so that was the curveball variation I was talking about. You know, for me, I don't really know a lot about the, you know, death ball. I know that's something that someone tagged on Twitter, and for me, like, it's just a harder curveball, and I think that's going to help. It's more like my fastball, the release point wise, and all like how it comes out of my hand, and where my fastball starts and where that curveball starts are going to be a lot more similar. So that's the whole goal of it, and that's the pitch that's come along the best this offseason. So I'm really excited for that, and yeah, I'm excited to get the hitter's point of view on it.
Have you thrown it to a live hitter yet, or is it spring maybe the first time you get a chance?
I've thrown it to live hitters, but that was at the end of the year last year when I went out to Shred, North Carolina. But I'm not to a live hitter yet. I'm still at the build-up stage. I threw my first bullpen on Thursday. So this offseason, or this coming weeks, I'll be getting into full speed, and then I'll be heading out to Florida a little early, and hopefully there'll be some hitters out there that can get me back.
What was that, a kind of small sample size of throwing it to one hitter on the track?
I mean, it worked really well. The hitters I was facing, you know, they weren't quite big league hitters, and a lot of the big league hitters had home. But I mean, I still had really good results, so I'm just excited for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.